Welcome to episode number 6 of PlayOn with myself, Aisling O'Reilly, brought to you by sportstalk.ie. This is the last and final episode of Series 1 of PlayOn, and I thought it would be fitting to end the series with a county that I have adopted over the last number of years. So for this episode, we travelled to the north of Ireland, to the home of the Mourne County, from a well-known venue for Down GA, the Canal Court here in Newry, to chat with former Down goalkeeper and All-Star winner Brendy McVeigh and former AFL star, All-Star winner and BBC pundit Marty Clarke. You're both very welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
So it's a first for PlayOn here that we've two lads from the same club, on Riocht. Yeah.
Yep.
So how long would you have played together, Marty?
Well, Brendy, he's the only goalkeeper I ever remember for playing for the Kingdom. You know, would have been involved in the club. Brendy was always a man. I literally can't remember another keeper there. Brendan's a couple of years older than me, so and then obviously got to play with him, and you know, there's no question in my mind that he's the best goalkeeper in Ireland on his day, with his shot stop and his voice. Just such a class character to have around. So we had a lot of lows with the Kingdom. We had a lot of relegations and tough games as well, but a lot of highs as well. And this man was always, you know, the joker in the dressing room and everything else. And as the goalkeeping role evolved over the seasons as well, to see him vary his kick-outs from the long bomb, which was when you first started, Brendy will know more than me, to then looking to have set plays and things like that. So a lot of good years playing with Brendy. And
so, Brendy, for you, what was probably the highlight playing with Riocht then?
Yeah, we won the Division 1 in 2007, and this man came home from Australia and played a bit of a part in it that night, yeah. So you played a couple of games when you came home, didn't you?
Yeah, 2, semi-final and then final.
Yeah.
That was against Kilcoo, was it?
Yeah, I got a couple of goals, yeah.
John was sent off, that's right. Yeah, I suppose, like, I didn't really get playing with him as much as I would have liked to, because when he came up and came the age and went to Australia and stuff, and then when you usually come home, you usually played a couple of games.
Yeah.
It's not as big as this over there now.
Yeah. There was no way of telling him. You could just go out and play, and there was no feeding it back to clubs, kind of that's filtered in now, where everyone wants to tell tale and everything else. But the 2007 victory in the league was probably still the biggest
standout moment.
Probably even it's just definitely top couple of moments of my whole career. And obviously now we know how good that Kilcoo team went on to be. Yeah.
So you came home and played against Kilcoo in the final, and you just arrived back, and it was in Park Esler, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. So it was the first game under lights up in Newry. So it was a big game for the club. And we knew Kilcoo were good, but we didn't know how good they were going to be. And unfortunately, we weren't able to push on because we deserved to win that night. Yeah. But look, we certainly enjoyed the victory.
Oh, we did, surely, for a couple of days anyway.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell us about that, Brendy.
No, but that team that we had in 2007, there was quite a few. I know Martin was in Australia playing football in Australia, but there was maybe 5, 6, maybe 7 fellas went out to Australia, to Melbourne to work. So
right.
And we lost quite a few.
It's a big blow, isn't it, for your club? And it's not as if you can just pull players from anywhere then, you know, it's your club. You have what you have, you know. Yeah,
the unknown joke was that they could have put a team out in Melbourne that could have beat our team at home. So that was, but so you just have to get on with it. It is what it is. And there's a lot of clubs were struggling at that time with players and people going away and stuff. So we weren't on our own.
No. And we're here in the Canal Court, so I'm sure you have had many a nights out here.
Many nights, surely. But usually by the time I get up this far, I wouldn't really remember too much. It was a bit hazy by the time I get up to Newry.
And so would this been the place that the Down team would have came, say, after the games, or would this have been the main venue?
Yeah, it would have been, would have come in here would have ate in here before games,
right,
and had a breakfast, and then if we were travelling away, we would have normally come back here for dinner. But a few times you might have had an odd beer, like, but mainly in the season you wouldn't be too nothing too mad.
I would always try to keep it back down home if we were going out, because James McCartan had eyes and ears everywhere. He did need them, to be fair to him, but if we had a really big win or whatever else, I would always been a fan of going down in the Kilkeel, obviously where the local club is, because down in there was no fanfare or anything. You know, everyone in there was just, they might not even have known you had a game, and Brendy would have enjoyed that aspect of it as well. A lot of characters down there, both sides. religious respect as well. So that was always, when I was home in 2010, 2011, they're my best memories in terms of the social side after games, which was...
Oh, go on, tell us. You're laughing about something.
Yeah, well, you might have been... Yeah, if it was a game on a Sunday, and depends what way it went and stuff, you could have been in the pub even on a Monday, down on a Monday, and the lads with the local men at the bar would have been sitting with a paper in them. I opened the paper and would have shouted over to me, "Hey McVeigh, you only got a 5. You only got a 5.5 in the paper. What the fuck were you at yesterday?" So you would have had a laugh. So that's the sort of crack it would have been. But you would have obviously give your 2p's worth, and that would have toed and froed back and forth. But it was good fun, good
you
times.
You can't beat those times, can't you now?
No, definitely.
But I think back in the club, that's the best crack. You know, when you're back in your local, then maybe here you probably have your wits about you and you're watching what's going on, big time.
Yeah.
And so then for yourself, Marty, you went to Aussie Rules at a very young age. You got scouted about 20, wasn't it?
18.
18, right. Oh, you made your debut at 20 years old, was it?
I think it was 18, 19 when I made my debut.
Right, sorry, okay. God,
No.
I was shocked with 20. 18 is just...
Yeah. So
had you even played senior for down at that point?
No, I hadn't. And that's kind of, you know, at the minute there's a lot of talk of guys go across and they don't come back as good of players, whatever, but most guys that go across have never played senior county, and then when they come home everyone's expecting them to dominate, but really you're just the first year on there. But in terms of getting picked up, I was 18. We'd won the All-Ireland Minor with Down in 2005, and there was teams just looking for players, and luckily I got picked up, and Collingwood was the team that came. The recruitment guy was across. He came to my house, and I ended up living with his family for 2 years.
Oh my God.
Which is a big reason why I played so easily, so quickly, because you just train so hard. I'd never been to the gym before. I went over there, so I was doing extra stuff and everything else. The skills stuff probably was the easiest thing to me, because I just love... I wasn't in the gym because I don't like that.
Yeah, it's not your thing.
Yeah, it's not my thing. Give me a football, let me train, let's play games. Yeah, that I could do that all day. So pick that up quicker, but it was kind of maturing the body, getting it ready for AFL and stuff. And the resources at Collingwood were very, very good. You know, the people there, you had individual coaching, the players, unbelievable people. And then away from that, I could just go home and sleep, and I had my clothes washed for me. I could cook for Derek and his family, did that. And Brendy, actually, you came across, didn't you?
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, he came
Second
across.
season,
Second
wow.
year. I got dropped for both games.
No, you played the first game of the season.
I played, that's right.
And then you get dropped.
That's right.
Oh God,
so.
it must have been Brandy coming over with bad influence.
Well, yeah, it's fair to say it contributed, but no, yeah.
I can remember his debut at home, like, and down in the whole lot of this interview probably is going to revolve around the pub. So I can remember everybody at home. It was against Sydney, wasn't it?
Yep.
And I think it was one of the late games. It was 11:15 at home here in the morning.
Yeah.
And I don't know what time it was over there, but the local pub, like everybody from the club, and was in the front lounge of the Archways bar. It's now closed down, so we were all sitting in there. Your mum and daddy was there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was great morning's crack.
Yeah.
So it was, and obviously there was pints involved.
The best part, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then you played up until came home in 2010, was it?
Yeah, so I finished in 2009. I had a contract extension offer, and then I had obviously the lure at home. It was Ross Carr at the time as a Down manager, and Ross, someone who I had worked with in the Down minors, and he's a very shrewd sort of guy. He had pieced together an incentive for me to come home. I wanted to come home for a lot of reasons anyway, but again, I wanted to stay for a lot of reasons. So I think Ross kind of had convinced me that the right decision was to go home, and I had that little bit. He had a job sorted, wee bit of sponsorship, car and everything, and then Ross was no longer then involved with Down. He got let go in the interim.
Oh my
and
God.
James came in, but Ross, he honoured everything he had said. And when I came home then, it was a much easier transition.
Oh, fair play to him.
Yeah, so I'm obviously very grateful for Ross to that, but he's just such a Down man. He thought if I was there, it might give Down an extra edge. And like not too many people probably know how much Ross was involved in that, but he was the man that sort of got me back.
Yeah. And before we go into the whole 2010 year, so Brendy, is 2005 when you made your debut?
It was, yeah, against
Yeah.
Tyrone and Noma.
Oh, right.
You
Yeah,
were playing
yeah.
the minors before we.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were playing in the minors when
Yeah.
you made your debut on the seniors?
Was that your debut?
Yeah.
Oh, what
Was
age
the
were
day-
you?
I don't know. I haven't a clue. I don't know, but I think when we were into the change room, we watched a wee bit of your game, and I think it started to rain, and Colgan scored a goal.
Colgan scored a goal, yeah.
James
That's why it's
Colgan.
unforgettable. James Colgan scored a goal.
James Colgan scored a goal, and I think for use one by a point or something.
Yeah, they were the All-Ireland champions, and we knew if we beat them, we had a chance to win the All-Ireland.
Yeah.
That's right.
And do you remember going out, Brendy, how you felt that day?
I
Or
was shitting myself. I was nervous. No point in saying I was nervous. I was on the field like with there's no mulligans of this world, and I was in the full forward line. He actually scored a goal, and I think it was in the first half, and it was disallowed for a square ball.
Happy
but
days.
I think only if I was, looking for it, if the referee, I don't know if it would have been given at all. So it was given as a square ball. But I remember in the first couple of minutes, a high ball came in, and I happened to drop it, I fumbled it.
Oh.
And I was like, Jesus, this isn't going well at all here. It was probably the whole lot of maybe being insecure, should have been there and stuff like that there. But it was only till later on in my career that it's just you're there and you just get on with it.
you realise, yeah.
Yeah, the realisation, but I can't remember that day. Everything about that day seemed to be so wrong because we arrived in Oma too early. We're about a hotel for too long, and I was getting it went on to the afternoon. I was getting so nervous. And the time I got out the field, I shit myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just was. I can remember it for all the wrong reasons.
I hate
God.
pre-game.
Yeah.
It's
Warm-ups.
everything pre-game. Like I do think that, especially with county panels now, they're trying to over-professionalise it.
Yeah.
Every player's different, so why should you force every player to do the exact same pre-game? Some players
True
don't
that.
want to be there for a meeting. Personally, I don't want to get out of breath during a warm-up because
This is a big thing that
Yeah.
people talk about. We even, like with the girls, a lot of people are like, oh, you need to get your second wind. And then other girls are like, no, I'm not doing it. And like you have
Yeah.
girls that are trotting along and others are sprinting. And it's
That's-
like, what actually is the right thing here?
Yeah, well, I actually have a story because I never wanted to do it, but I just felt you have to do it. That's it. And one game over in Australia, actually, it was like my second season, and there's a really rigorous warm up, like tackling, boxing, everything else. And when you don't want to do it, it's even more difficult. But I was feeling unwell, so I just said to the fitness coach, I need to go to the toilet here. And when I went into the toilet, there was like 4 or 5 of the best players just sitting there having a laugh. And I said, what's going on here? And they're like, this is what we do every week. Like, we don't really get involved in it. And because I was so fixated on the warm-up every week, I didn't even realise that these guys weren't doing it.
Oh my God.
And from then I always took the warm-up easier. And then when I came home in 2009, 2010, like warm-ups still are probably more than they should be, in my opinion. But for me, I just run out with 10 minutes before. I don't want to waste energy or stretch
Yeah.
or anything like that. And I understand guys do. Let them do that. But I understand totally what you're saying. For your debut, it probably would have been better for you to turn up an hour before the
Yeah.
game. Because a
Just
goalkeeper,
straight into it.
particularly, you know your role, like you know
Yeah.
what you have to do. But I never wanted to get out of breath in a warm up after that, because I was saying, like, these are our best players here,
Yeah.
and these guys know what they need to do. The game's 2 hours long in AFL. Why do you need to be spending energy 40 minutes before it? Like, so that was just my theory behind it. I know there'll be sports scientists giving you the answer why they do it, but
it is different for everyone. Even if
It
the
is.
sports scientist is telling you whatever, it mightn't still match what you think to what Brendy thinks. Or,
Exactly.
You know,
Each individual's
and then
yeah.
And then I think, like, it should be everyone can come up to 2 hours before it to do their own thing, and then there's a meeting maybe 40 minutes before the game, and then you do a collective warm up, and you can have it at whatever intensity you want.
Yeah.
That's what I try and do. I'm in coaching now, and I do try and create that kind of environment for guys rather than just forcing them to do the one thing.
And who are you coaching now then?
St John's. So
yeah.
It's my brother's team. He moved there. It's about 45 minutes from the club, but he married a girl there, and obviously I'm not playing anymore, so I'm just in there.
I seen you
training the
last
team.
year. You knocked from Gath out of the championship.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, my
we were-
boyfriend was on that team now.
Oh yeah, no, we were fortunate to win that game, and then we lost to the winners, Glen. But
Yeah.
management and coaching is a different ball game
I'd
altogether.
say,
innit?
yeah. I'd say it's not for everyone. I'd say you either have it or you don't in a manager. You know, not every player will go on to do
Yeah.
management.
Yeah. Have you ever thought much about it?
Well,
I'm helping our boys this year as a more or less selector role, like, but
I know, yeah, very good.
yeah.
are you looking forward to it, Brandy?
it's going to be different for me, you know, because I've played with quite a few of the boys that are there at the minute, and they probably see me as the character and the crack wise, but I'm probably going to have to roll up my socks and be, you know, maybe a bit stricter. Not I don't mean stricter, but maybe have a different relationship with them sort of guys that I would have had in the past. Obviously, they know when I'm having the crack. Well, to be serious, as well. Like, but as I said to you before, my passion is goalkeeping. Like, I could train goalkeepers every day of the week. I love that because I'd still love to be doing it myself. But that would be my thing. And there was a young fella down at the club, and he's been with me, training with me since he was 15. So I like to see enjoying seeing his progression. So
and who's that now?
This young fella called Stephen Dorn.
Right, and he's a goalie at the moment.
I think he's a goalie at the moment. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you've been sort of watching him go.
Yeah. Well, in pre-seasons and stuff, when I was training myself, you know, like behind that nobody would see when you go out to the field yourself. I always would have took him with me ever since he was a young fella.
Good.
So he would have come with me. So now he's progressed on now to be the senior goalkeeper. So
that's brilliant. That's a nice story.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I think he could go on to do a wee bit more. So I'm trying to be in his ear as well. So
happy days. You need that.
I remember like at training, obviously club level and that. If you were doing a shooting drill where obviously there's going to be goals scored, if he scored past Brendan, every goal hurt him. Like you would hear him curse or punch the ground or whatever, but that was the standards that he set.
Yeah.
And then I suppose it all came together 2010 for the year he had. If people go back and actually watch the influence Brendan had from a shot stopping point of view, it's obvious, but then everything else as well, like that mentoring side of it, talking from the back, kick outs, just a class goalkeeper. So definitely Stevie Dorn's a lucky man sort of to have him on board, you know.
Definitely. And 2010, that's 10 years ago now. That probably feels madness to the two of you.
That's true,
yeah.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And do you still have people coming up and saying it to you?
They would do, yeah. They would do, and I still would hurt you, like.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking back, there's times you'd be driving along.
It was 1 point, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I would bang the dashboard, but you have to sort of try and forget about it because it's...
Still to this day, you'd bang the dashboard?
I would, yeah. I would. Certain circumstances, certain things, and for sure. It wouldn't go away. I don't think it would go away too easy, like.
No, but like, I suppose Down had been in an All-Ireland final, I think it was 94, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like some Mickey Linden and that. And 2010, to get to the All-Ireland final was just, you'd only come home. So for you to arrive back and to be, it must have been crazy to think, you were in an All-Ireland final.
It was, but I think there's a kind of, it's quite unfair. Sometimes you hear it was like a flash in the pan kind of team or whatever else, but the team itself was just, there was so much quality in the team. Our defence allowed our attacking players, who people remember the likes of Benny, Danny Hughes, Rooney Murda coming on, Paul McComiskey. They're the players people remember, but our defence with Brandy behind them was so solid.
Yeah.
Guys like D. Rafferty, Conor Garvey, who had we there? Dan Gordon, Decky Rooney. Yeah. Like, these are guys that probably people won't stick out to people who are watching that, but they allowed us to just be so creative and not have to maybe track back as much or whatever. And when you get on a roll through the qualifiers, you just expect to win. We expected to win that All Ireland. Like, there was no doubt in my mind going into Cork that we weren't going to win that game. And I suppose the longer it goes on, the harder it is to take. You know, you think, is there anything I could have done different? And because I suppose with an All Ireland, like, it's just the ability to be able to say you have won an All Ireland. It's not the medal or them things aren't important. It's just being able to say, look, I'm the same as the 90-14, the 90, we've won it, and to be very close and not get it, it definitely does hurt me, and I didn't think it ever would, because back then it didn't. I was just like, we can get here again next year.
So as time goes on, it gets harder.
Absolutely, yeah.
It does. There's people still, when you go in the, like me, but working in the people's houses and stuff, if they're GA minded, that's what they want to talk about and want to talk about.
That must do your head in, does it?
There's times you're not in the mood for it at all, and there's other times you can have the crack, but generally when you go out to the van and you're on your own, you'd say,
I read an article there just a few days ago before we were obviously going to be doing this, and it was an interview you had done just before, a few days before the All Ireland, I think it was. And you were saying that, I'm not having the best year now in goals, I'm probably not playing the best I could be playing, but the lads in front of me are the reason. And then you go on and get an All-Star that year and you hear everyone else saying what they say, but you're like, no, I wasn't having a good year.
No, but I don't know. There's a whole lot of factors would probably add into that. It made a few saves, all right, yeah, but there was at times things wasn't maybe going, a couple high balls or maybe going astray and stuff. You know, you set yourself a level, you want to be trying to be punched above that at all times, and there was times I didn't think it was, but there's a few occasions I've made a couple of saves and they turned out to be vital saves at a time. Like,
yeah.
sure.
And where did you get that from? Was it parents or somebody looked up there?
No, it was probably just, it was always me, because ever since I was a young fella, I always, like, in the 91 and 94 campaigns, like, my parents would have took me up to even watch down training, so they did as well. So we would have been well and truly on the bandwagon. So
yeah.
I would have been standing behind the goals watching Neil Collins, and it was Pat Dunn on 91. He was a sub-keeper. On 94 was Eamon Connolly, and I always would have watched them, and I always wanted to. And then when Neil Collins saved the penalty from Charlie Redmond in 94, I always said to myself, Jesus, I'd love to be here. I'd love to be here. You know, as a
You'd
player,
like to do that.
I'd love to do that, yeah. So that was ingrained from me back then. Like, I'm sure, remember when you were, I don't know what age you were 9 or 10 or something, maybe even younger, you could have named the down team.
No,
like, that was his party piece.
There's a big influence. that
was his party piece when he was a kid.
But like, I think with every kind of great player in any position, you only see glimpses when you're looking on from afar. You know, even like Colin Cooper, I chat to the Kerry boys, especially guys who played at club level, and they say you've only seen a tenth of what that man can do. And that's why obviously I have so much respect for Brendan, because at training you're hitting pile drivers into the top corner and he's tipping them away. You see so much of the player when you're playing at that club level, and then you train with them at county level, and they got down team that got to the All-Ireland final, the quality, like even Mark Poland, who I know he's only finished playing, but some of the passes he'd be making at training, some of the runs that Benny would be doing, how intelligent, because you're working with them from that season started probably January or maybe December, right through 3 trainings a week until the All-Ireland final was the 3rd week of September. Like, you get to see how everyone's qualities, because you're with them so long, and I suppose maybe the public only get to see 2 or 3 games a year of that, but you get so much respect for everybody's talents and what they bring to the squad, and I suppose that's what you miss about playing on squads like that, even at club level.
So do you miss it all now then, playing county?
Well, I probably miss more playing for the club than I do for the county, because like, you're lifting a bag since you're like 7 or 8 years of age to go out to trainings, and you're no longer doing it anymore.
It's hard, I'd say, to mentally.
It is. It's very, very tough. I found it personally very, very tough. I couldn't go to watch games. It was like, how I would explain it would be like courting a woman for 35 years and then sitting back and watching somebody else courting her. but you know what I mean.
And you put him up to it, Stevie Dorn.
Yeah. But you know, that's it was like, that's all I ever wanted to do was.
That's all you know.
Yeah, all you ever know. And even when the people's houses now, I'm seen as you're the goalkeeper, but I'm not the goalkeeper anymore, and that was tough for me to take, because that was you know, a different chapter. You know, obviously I've done it, and that's always all I wanted to do. But whenever that sort of door closed, it was, Jesus, what to do now, or what's the story here? And you know, I found that very hard. Like, I found that very, very hard. Yeah, extremely hard.
Mm-hmm. You got the chance to retire. You made the decision. Making that decision, how did you come to it? Did you think, oh no, I have another year in me, or what? For
the club?
Yeah.
We were beaten in an intermediate final, and it didn't sit well with me, because that was my second one I was beaten, and from all I was thinking about was, Jesus, I'm making these finals, I keep on getting beat. Is it worth it? The aftermath of it, you know, you're banging your head against the brick wall, you're doing this stuff, and I know it shouldn't come to you. You shouldn't get it just because you've been in these finals, but it just seemed to be any final I was getting beaten. So I said, I can't take this no more. So I said, it was affecting me around the house and everything. I said, no.
It wasn't your ability then. It was just you thought mentally, I can't keep doing this.
Can't keep doing this anymore. Get so many knockbacks. You just said, right, I've had enough.
Yeah. And obviously then for yourself, Marty, didn't get the chance to make that decision. You picked up a disease or an illness. Yeah, when you got home. So you'd went back to play 2 years, and after you'd won the 2010, you did 2011.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I went back across to Australia for 3 years, but kind of the second or the start of the 3rd year of that, I just felt terrible physically. I knew, because we were training at such a high level, that something wasn't right, because I only ever train 90, 100%. Everything's flat out, gym, whatever it was, and I knew the harder I tried, the worse I felt. So I knew something was going on, but to try and tell a professional club when you're playing poorly, I'm trying my hardest here, it doesn't really work out that way. But thankfully the doctor at the club listened to me, and my wife, who was she wasn't my wife then, Anna was my girlfriend then, she's a doctor also, so they were able to piece together, because they know that I'm not lying, like, you know, I'm feeling terrible, I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I got diagnosed with Addison's disease. So I had played about maybe 3 months of reserves with the condition, the Collingwood reserve team, and that was kind of probably the toughest part of my sporting career, that I was playing so poorly, even for a reserve team.
Yeah.
I had no energy, and I was getting abused by my own supporters, saying, "What are you doing?" You know, I literally couldn't run, and the coaches were questioning, like, was I homesick, whatever it was, and that was tough, you know.
And you didn't know what it was at this
I didn't know
point.
what it was, and then I got my diagnosis, and I feel good now, day to day. I'm able to run and whatever I want to do, and I went back and played for the Kingdom a couple of times, for a couple of years, but I just I've never been able to piece it together. My confidence took a serious hit for that 3 months where I was playing with the condition. I literally wasn't fit, and the reserve standard isn't the highest.
Yeah.
But because I was, in my head, my standards were high, and I was only performing at a certain level, it really did affect me, like always. I had great support from Anna. She's the only one that really understood how difficult it was for me to be basically the worst player in the team and everything else. And then I think that affected my decision not to play or attempt to play for Down as well, because obviously there's expectation attached, and whether you've Addison's disease or one leg, if you're putting yourself up to play for Down and you're not playing well, I think there was a fear there for myself that I would maybe tarnish what I had and had achieved and everything else. So it was difficult, but I personally don't have any regrets about not playing. I think I had a really great career. I did it the right way, and for my own health I have been advised that even club level it is a big push, you know. It'll be tough to do, but I'm just grateful I can still train in my own terms, you know, and then go into management.
So do you do a bit yourself then? You can still do a small bit yourself?
Yeah, I can. I can. Like, I can still, and as I said, like, and Brendan will know as well, I only ever, when I'm training, I have no interest in going for a jog. It has to be red zone stuff for me, and Anna always, she gives out to me, but that's just the way I was growing up as well. And then at Collingwood you had to do that, at Down you had to do that, at the club I always tried to set the standard too, and now, even though I have to take a bit of medication before I do it, I'll still go out and push myself that way. So I'm so pleased I'm able to do that, because you know, if I hadn't got that, and a lot of people are worse off, then you know, that would be tough.
So obviously your manager must have had a huge role to play in how well you did in 2010. James McCartan, wasn't it? Yeah.
Obviously James is massive Down figure. He's still involved with the teams, minors, under 20s. He'll probably have a go at seniors again some stage. I think one of his main strengths was bringing people in. He was hands off in a way, in that Paddy Talley was the main trainer. You had Brian McIver, who would have a big influence with relationships with the players. That was a brilliant move by him. And then we had Jerome Johnson as well, who's Michael Kilcoo. His sons are currently starring for the Kilcoo.
Another Jerome Johnson, isn't it?
Yeah. So James was very smart, and his voice wouldn't be the only voice around, but when the big moments came, pre-game or at half-time, then he would come in and you would sort of take a step back and listen to what he had to say. But he's a unique way about him, for sure. But obviously the respect that he had because of his playing days, and then you know, he had some great theories and ideas as a manager as well. So he's a big reason why we made it there, and he would have good relationships with most of the players still.
I would surely, it's good crack at times, but sometimes it was strange. Sometimes he was a bit strange. He didn't know what he was thinking in his head. He would come up and stand, look at you with a baseball cap on that wouldn't have been on anyway normal. It might have been sitting away up in there, and he would look at you to talk, and you were thinking, what's going through this man's head?
And so obviously with a manager you have to have that, like, management skills, but also you want to be able to go to him if you have a problem, but to have the crack at the same time. Was he that person you could maybe pick up the phone? Or
I don't. Did you ever phone him?
No. I received a few though. Are you alright, Martin?
Are you alive?
why was that?
Are you alive?
You didn't turn up to train or something?
I always made it, but it was
Eventually.
suppose it was a unique situation that I had been playing professionally in Australia, and then I came back in. I hadn't had a summer in Ireland in 4 years.
Oh.
And when you're living overseas, the only thing you feel you're missing out on is summer.
Yeah.
They're what you hear from your mates. We're doing X, Y, and Z. So I wanted to be part of that, but obviously I needed to be disciplined, and sometimes I wasn't disciplined. And James was always there to say, look, we've training or whatever else. Like, but no, he was good that way. He always would have kept it quiet and just sort of advised.
Remember, we were down in City West for a training weekend.
That's right.
And Martin missed his lift.
Oh.
Martin missed his lift, so we arrived down to City West, and Martin wasn't there. And I was rooming with his John, and John was panicking. Our Martin. Our Martin. I said, will you shut up, John? Will you? He'll hear at some stage. So anyway, the next morning into the gym, all the lads went down to the gym, and this man was on the treadmill. He had made it down to Dublin, and was on the treadmill. It was running the fastest in the treadmill, running the longest, and all this kind of crack, and nobody could.
So then no one could say nothing to you.
Yeah, that was it.
Come out of? He just appeared.
Yeah.
So what happened there, Marty? Tell us.
That was 2011, so the year after, and we had a club game sort of the night before, and I, as Brandy said, I forgot my lift, and then I
Forgot your lift.
Yeah, I was able to get a lift down to the hotel in the middle of the night, and then I just found out my room, snuck in, and then just got involved with the training. So yeah, look, I suppose
He just got a lift like from Cranfield till City West in Dublin, just picked up a lift.
Tumbling on the side of the road there.
That was it. Like, so yeah, always there's a few bits and pieces like that were going on, but by and large we did have a really good sort of team in that respect.
Yeah.
I felt even the likes of Brandy and older lads like Danny Hughes, Ronnie Murray, they knew that I was important to the team, because I was bringing, once I was at training, I was trying to set the standards and everything else, but they had been around for 10, 12 years, and they were desperate to win in All Ireland and everything else. So they were always had a nice quiet word in my ear. They knew that was the way to do it with me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't kind of make it a big deal of it.
Yeah.
So like I learned a lot about respect during that time as well, and seeing other people's when you're a part of the team as well.
Yeah. And obviously you went on to the All Ireland then that year, so you must have had a close bond. Did you have many bonding weekends, or what was it like?
2010.
Yeah. Or say the build up to it.
The build up, there really wasn't that much going on in the build up to it. It was all that you were focused on your next game, probably because we were in the qualifiers.
Yeah.
Games were coming
Say even
thick and
previous
fast.
to it, or in the league. Or
Oh, well, over a few years, yeah, there would have been plenty of sessions. Like,
yeah.
yeah, there would have been.
But you probably all got very close. That's why, you know, I always think the team that's the closest, that hang around together, probably have their nights out, that have do like gym together, whatever it is the winning team. Was it like that for you, where he's all close knit?
It was probably the training environment. We trained up at the Abbey, just up the road from here.
Yeah.
And we trained very hard, and kind of with the qualifiers, you win, you recover, you win, you recover, you win, you recover, and we saw a lot of each other, and there wasn't really time for that social as such, but you were kind of deeper level than that. You were training together, you were recovering together, you were watching reviews of games that went well together, and that really did stand by us in tough moments in games when we were hanging on against Kerry at times. Brandy made a few massive saves against Kerry in the All-Ireland quarter-final, and then against Kildare as well. You still upset about that goal you let in that day?
I am,
7 steps, was it?
Yeah, 7, maybe more than 7 steps, but I still should have saved it.
But they were ones that you specialised in, but
Yeah.
I think it was more just kind of that routine that we had, that there was a real respect within the group. Like I'd still be friendly with every one of those players.
Yeah.
Like, there was no groups or cliques or anything like that, like, which was maybe unique.
And with that particular year, that run went on, the journey we're on, like everybody together that was your family. The people at home weren't your family.
They weren't.
Because you were spending so much time, and that's just the environment you're in.
Yeah. And if both of you had to say the best player you played alongside? If you had to choose one each, who would you choose?
For me, Benny Coulter is like the only answer. Like, and that includes AFL.
Wow.
Yeah, just probably not the most gifted athlete in the world in terms of wasn't the fittest, the strongest, whatever, but his intelligence, like his football intelligence, his ability in the big moments to just grab a game and win it for down over a long period. Like, he was just so good with his movement, his skills, and then in those big moments as well. For me, in training as well, absolute standout.
Yeah. And Brendy, for
Yeah,
you?
Benny's right up. Benny's up there as well. It's probably hard. That's a real hard question.
It's a very hard question, yeah.
Benny would be up there, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
So he would be. He's fantastic, and even playing against him for the club and stuff, he would have broke your heart because he just would have broke your heart scoring goals for fun, and you couldn't have done anything with him. And then you got to see him again at close quarters training for down, and like you would have, even though you were his teammate, you would have looked up to him because he could probably do the things that some other people couldn't do. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And at the minute, there's so many changes going on with the structure, and you have the Tier 2 championship for the likes of Down. What do you make of that? What's your views on it? Do you think a 2-tier competition is a good thing, or?
It makes the league important, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Personally, I wouldn't go to a Tier 2 game. I think if they were doing it right, you would either be in Tier 1 or you're in Tier 2 with an opportunity, if you win it or you get in the semi-finals, you then can play in Tier 1 the following year.
Okay,
but
yeah.
I just think it's ridiculous that you start out in Tier 1 and then if you're in a certain position in the league, which is a different competition, then you have to enter Tier 2. It's like, I think if they made Tier 2 a standalone competition where Division 3 and Division 4 teams played, and then there was a clear avenue out of there, whether it was the top 4 or the semi-finalists up, they then move up into Tier 1 in the championship the following year. But the fact that you're going to be playing in the Ulster Championship and then you're down into Tier 2, I just think it's ridiculous.
The players didn't vote for it, did they? The players...
I don't think the players get a say really on them things. It sort of goes to the GA Council, like Croke Park, and
the powers that
bring it in.
Decisions,
Well, this is it. But I don't know. I suppose they just thought maybe the likes of maybe Leitrim or the counties that maybe start out their year every year and they think, oh, there's not much hope to progress. But I agree with what you're saying. To maybe if there was a chance to, if you got to the semi-finals, finals, to push on, because we were asking Steve McDonald the same question, and he was saying, to be starting your year knowing you can't go for Sam Maguire, it's not a nice, feeling. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And what about the mark coming in this year as well? What's your views on that?
There's so many parts of it that I sort of obviously haven't played Australian rules where the mark was always a part of the game. Like if a defender catches the ball that's played in, is it a mark to him?
No, so if the defender kicks it in, say it's a corner forward. So basically, I think what they're trying to do is if it's they're trying to introduce the long ball more. Yeah. So they can, like it's a mark, they can stop and just pop it over the bar.
Just say there's like a one-on-one battle inside. Just say it's who's say Michael Murphy's playing on Lee Keegan and McBurdy pings one in and Lee Keegan catches it. Can he take his mark as a defender and go back, or does he have to play on?
Jeez, I don't know. I think it's just to promote the ball going in. I think it is.
Just the forwards
I could be so
entitled
wrong,
to
but I
catch
think
it,
it's just.
I just think there's going to be so much complications because nobody really understands, and then it's the player's discretion. Does he want to take his mark or not? How far does he go back? Where does the defending player stand when he's hitting his free? It's a complex rule. And
they just take from like that inside corner forward, taking on their marker, what everyone loves to see. Now they can just stop 14 yards and pop it over.
I can see the theory in it.
Yeah.
And we probably will see some high fielding, which would be good.
Yeah.
But it's not just a simple rule. There's so many sub parts to the rule that I think will cause chaos at club level in particular.
If they take the mark, if the forward takes the mark, can they obviously take the mark, but then can he play on?
No, I don't think so. Not once he's decided.
Once he's taken it,
right,
he has to make that decision straight away.
Sort of like with the kick-outs now. Say if you do with the kick-out and you catch it and you stop, or you could just play on.
Right, okay.
But if you decide to stop, well then you've took your mark, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, but
it's hard to know, and I'm sure the refs are going to be the same as us.
In Australian rules, if you take a mark, whatever you want to do, you can do. You can go back, then you can kick it, you can hand pass it, you can run with it.
Yeah.
Even if you initially take the mark, you can still, it's still your discretion. You have 8 seconds to play it, but if you decide to play it before that, you can do it whatever way, which is good because you might win an unbelievably good ball, and then suddenly you go back and it's given a mark, but then you might think to yourself a split second later, I should have taken him on there.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to create a lot of conundrums in players' heads, and it won't be good for forward play. Like,
yeah, and obviously we've seen there recently, McVeigh came out just saying about players going over to the AFL, and I don't know if he was aiming it at you or not, that some players are giving them reason to go, or...
I don't think the rule changes will have anything to do with sort of scouting and things like that. And obviously, you know, I wanted to defend what the kind of Irish players or former AFL players' involvement's more around mentoring, that the clubs are massive in their own right. They do their own recruiting, and further to that, it's not like clubs are coming over and stealing guys from their homes and throwing them into these, like, players are contacting AFL clubs every single day. There's Irish players, probably not the profile of Cathal McShane, but they're reaching out to clubs saying, how do I get a chance, how do I get noticed? So you know, it's happening in a lot of respects, but I was just keen to highlight that it's certainly not former players saying, oh, how you go to Adelaide now. Like, it's such a thorough process.
Yeah. And so for the Bodies then going forward, what's the hope then, Brendy? You're helping with your club team?
Yeah, helping with the club team, yeah. So it's, again, it's different for me this year. So starting as of tomorrow.
Oh, right.
3 times a week. And it'll be different.
So you'll know all about it then. You'll be back to taking the bag, going out the door, and you'll be cursing it then.
Yeah, I'll be looking for babysitters and getting out through the door, and I'll be down. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to a game and having a good interest in it again. And
a new challenge.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I am really looking forward to it. Probably it's taking that time away from it to get the hunger back to say, right, I want to be here again.
Yeah. Could you make any appearances yourself if they need anyone to stand in?
I done that for 3 games last year,
and
I was brutal.
Right.
Yeah, I was brutal. Probably I was nervous. I went through the whole emotions again that when I first started playing football, I was nervous and I was doubting. Obviously, whenever there's an expectancy of you, like, I'm back next.
Brandy will just fit in again.
No, but I was so out of touch. It was unreal. Like, I was second guessing everything I was trying to do. Everything was going wrong. I let in 2 horror goals against Darragh in the league game down Darragh, and I was away from it. And to me, that was the best thing ever happened to me, because I thought, that's that door closed. Done. That's that done. Does it? Because I had a bit of an itch.
Yeah.
At the start of the season.
Be still playing?
Yeah. Should I go? And I went and I scratched the itch, and I'm not scratching no more.
You got what you needed. You're done. And what about for you, Marty? So what are you up to now then?
Well, I'm in management. I'm involved in management. As I said,
St. John's.
St. John's. So. This will be actually my 3rd year with them, which is flown in. But as a player, I never lost any sleep. But as a manager, it's totally different. I'm down. There's a guy, Francie Poland, Mayor Bridge man, and I'm learning a lot from him. And I'm ringing friends who have success in management, and some higher profile managers too, trying to build it up. My experience. I want to have a unique aspect too of what I learned in Australia, but definitely to keep climbing the ranks in management is something that I really do enjoy, having that influence, and I'd love to be able to there's a lot of teams playing the same sort of football at the minute, and I'd love to be able to come up with something that's attractive and is able to break down if a team's setting up with multiple players behind the ball. Instead of just accepting this is the way, is it trying to throw different things at it and come up with ideas as well. Obviously you need to work with good people and everything, and have the right players, but I do love that side of it.
And that's intermediate, isn't it?
They're down intermediate.
And then Brendy, what is your club? Is it senior or intermediate?
Intermediate.
No. Oh, there you go. So you'll be meeting each other then along the way?
Well,
hopefully not.
Well, you have all the insights.
It's my old team as well, so hopefully they avoid each other, but we'll see.
Is your John playing?
Yeah, John's still playing,
His 5 retirements.
5 retirements.
5 social media announcements. Retired.
Well, hold on. What's this now?
My brother, who plays for the team I'm coaching, he retires every year. He's 37 or 8 now, but
fair play.
To be fair, he is. He is playing very well, so we've managed to convince him to hang around for another year.
Right, so do you have any regrets then looking back on your careers? It's tough to ask that.
Yeah, 2010 obviously is a big one, not winning the All-Ireland 2010, like, but sure, you can't turn back time.
No.
If it was Marty McVeigh and maybe had a time machine, like Back to the Future, it would have been brilliant to change that, like, but sure, can't change it.
Yeah.
No, that's the obvious one, because obviously Down have been nowhere since either. So you know, I think that's why certain teams in hurling and in football can't afford maybe to lose one, because they say you need to lose one to win one. But we all sort of knew that was just, this was it. Like, it was now or it was going to be a long time again before we got back. So of course you think, could I have worked harder? Could I be more aggressive that day on the pitch? There's nothing you can do, so you just have to let it go. Yeah.
No, it's tough, definitely. I think to get to an All-Ireland obviously is amazing in itself, but 1 point is a tough to take, I'm sure. And we'll finish it up on this one then. So if you had any advice maybe for players watching this now that are just like you, starting out maybe with their inter-county careers, what would you say to them? Or maybe club lads coming in.
Advice?
Even if it's maybe something you worked on a lot, or to...
Yeah, look, I always just make your strength your, like, a real big strength. I was struggling in Australia in my probably second year, and that was when Brendan and that was across. I was sort of out of form, and I went into the head coach, a guy called Mick Malthouse, and he said, I said, look, I feel I'm not really contributing the way I could be. And he said, what's your main strength? And I said, my kicking. And he said, go out and practice your kicking. Just go out and just keep working on your kick, make it just such an asset that everything else will fall in around it. And I think a lot of coaches try and say, work on your opposite side, or work on something you're not good at. But if you make your strengths exceptional at that elite level, then, and that worked for me, and I was able to come out of my form slump and build everything around my main strength, which is my kicking. And I just thought it was brilliant advice. So if you're a guy who loves the gym and you're out of form, go to the gym, keep doing that, keep pushing yourself there. Or if you're someone who's, if it's a defender who's just exceptional at coming out with the ball, focus on that side of your game loads, and that hopefully will get you out of the slump. So
yeah, that's great advice. And Brendy, for you, for any goalkeepers up and coming?
It probably stands out. You just train hard and keep trying better in yourself. But at the stage when I was playing for Down, and was maybe questioning myself whether I should be there or not, because there was times when I was playing in the early part, I couldn't seem to get near any balls, I couldn't seem to make any saves and stuff, and it was really frustrating me. So at that particular time, I started working on the mental side of things, saying cliches in my head, saying things over, bits of things wrote down on paper that I would constantly say to myself, constantly. And it was shortly after that things started to happen for me, and I started to make these saves. Things started to become more, maybe not that before I was trying too hard, but it just started to happen. I don't know whether that's coincidence, but that really worked for me. Brilliant.
That's great advice, and it's probably different advice than we've got from everyone we've asked. So no, that's great. Well, thanks so much for joining me. Thanks, lads.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Thank you.